everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be checking out a top 10 favorite manhwa with a necromancer at the center. Necromancy in this case will be using the souls of the dead or raising the dead directly in their power set. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you like these types of videos. Leave a comment down below on other top 10s you'd love to see me do, and let's jump right into the list. At number 10 is Dungeon House. Dungeon House follows a protagonist with a little bit of a problem. There's a gate that's connected itself to his door of his home that leads to another world, a world where there's a dungeon that he has to crawl, and he's just terrified. You spend the first few chapters of this story having a character that is basically letting others struggle for him. He finds out that he has no choice but to go venture into the dungeon and face his own mortality, and he uncovers some necromancy-based powers. Raising basic skeletons and basic goblin-like coworkers, yes, is actually a lot of fun. This series is fairly new, so there isn't a large chapter count, but it is definitely worth checking out. At number 9 is DAXIANG WUXING. This one is beautiful. I only discovered this one very recently. It is a Chinese manhwa, but the art is on point. Protagonist is a badass with necromancy skills, and the story is a lot of fun. The fights are compelling and really engaging, and you should definitely be reading this one if you're not already. There's a good chapter count, so you're not going to be too disappointed jumping into this one, and I've really been enjoying it. I blitzed through the entire series this week, and I have to say, it's definitely one I'm going to be recommending going forward. At number 8 is Ranker Who Lives a Second Life, or Second Life Ranker, depending how you want to call it. This one is on a lot of people's top 5 lists of all time, their favorites. For me, it's not quite up there that high, but I have to say, the later chapters of this series are phenomenal. The art really steps up, and the action and type of action really gets a lot better. The early parts of the chapters of this one I found were really slow to get into, but it has a compelling narrative, a good character motivation, and it's all about a brother avenging his brother, and that's just enjoyable to read. That being said, the action is on point, the lore is really solidly developed, and there's a huge amount of itemization and things going on in power sets in this world, which are very interesting as he attempts to climb the tower to reach the top. At number 7 is Dark Magician Transmigrates 66,666 years. This one is stunning. It looks beautiful. You see it on the screen. It is visually a stunning series. It is a bit slower paced though. It is not action at every chapter, but when there is action, it is on point. The main character is a reincarnation of a previous demon lord. He is a badass that is born into a baby's body and has to grow up like anyone else, but his power set based on necromancy is a lot of fun. You should be checking this one out if you aren't already. It's a very popular one that most people are reading, but if you haven't already gotten on it, he is a cold protagonist, and if you enjoy your characters to be a little brutal, this one is definitely for you. At number 6 is Blind Faith Descendants. This is probably one you most likely haven't heard of, but if you have, you kind of know why it's great. The idea of a character that controls the souls of the dead and has this power set built around it. He has these different reincarnations throughout the story, but what's really cool about this one for me is the setting is not your typical setting. You have a very Middle Eastern feel to this whole story, and that is not an area of the world that is often explored in regards to manhwa. Most things happen in Korea, or Japan in most cases, but it's nice to actually have a different perspective of things going on in different places in the world, and it gives the story its own flavor and its own character motivations. It is definitely a more mature series with characters having more intimate moments, but it's very cool with the soul part of that being the necromancy. At number 5 is Reincarnation of MURIM's clan's former ranker. This one is a reincarnation story. It kind of speaks to it, a character that reached the pinnacle of what he could accomplish, and he's reborn into a younger body. A quite fat one, I might point out. This one kind of came out at the same time as Book of L'Azur, which was another story about a character inhabiting a obese body for a time. I don't know why that's been a plot point lately, but it doesn't matter. This one follows a character that unlocks his powers quite quickly. He gains his basic necromancy skills. You're seeing some of the necromancy he can do on the screen right now, and it's a fun read. I don't think that the character is that deep right now, but we are still early on the travels with this story, but I am really enjoying where it might be going in the future. Since he's transformed into his more lean, fit self, it seems to be like the story is hitting more of its stride. It felt like it was this awkward setting that they were trying to do at the time, and I don't know. It feels more natural now, and it feels like the story is really going the direction that it wants to go in, and I'm really excited for where it's going next. At number 4 is Kill the Hero. Oh, I love revenge stories, and Kill the Hero is a great one. Visually, looks fantastic. It has its own little style to it that I really enjoy, but the betrayal that happens right at the beginning of the story that leads to the reincarnation of the main character and into the slow building revenge tale that goes on throughout is phenomenal. There's amazing dungeon crawling that goes on in this story, some alliances and some sneaking around that takes place so that the main character can manipulate the events that are occurring in the world. He gets his chance to reincarnate, but his reincarnation is back in time so that he knows the events are going to happen. So he's basically fighting against a guild that has this person that betrayed him in it. And it's all about the manipulations, him getting strong enough so that he can eventually get his true revenge on the person that betrayed him. But the setup is awesome, the fights are really cool, and some of the monster designs are really on point in this one. The art style might not be for everyone, but for me it is phenomenal. At number 3 is Solo Necromancy. This one is one of those, the world changes, you get a superpower, and his is necromancy. The setup is very simple, yes, however, I really like the way that necromancy is used in this world and how much it is a powerful skill. I like the characters that it's summoning. It's not necessarily a skeleton, but rather raising the monsters of the dead, which obviously we've seen in other series, but I'm really enjoying the way it's done. The one thing that might not be for everyone, and this I've had as comments before in regards to this one, is that the main character doesn't seem to match the type of skill he has. Necromancy is often a very dark skill, and the main character is kind of a plain Joe. He's not super dark in his way of being, so it feels like there's a disconnect between the power set and what he's got. But I actually enjoy that. I enjoy that it's a different approach to a Necromancer, and with obviously 10 series on this list that are Necromancers, it's nice to have a character that's a little different from the rest of them, and his vibe is definitely a cool one. Definitely a cool main character. It starts off with him trying to escape his school by fighting off against the things, and it's all about these little scenarios that they have to go through. Think of Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint a little bit in regards to scenarios. And his necromancy power, this is this 5-star ability, is what's going to help him get through it all. At number 2 is Soul Station Necromancer. Soul Station Necromancer I think has great potential going forward. It is a long-running light novel that is very popular. It came out actually before Soul Leveling ever did. And Soul Station Necromancer has a protagonist that's definitely got a good, fun vibe to him. He came back to this world after being gone for quite some time, unlocks his necromancy skills, kicks some ass, but definitely he's not just a necromancer. He kicks ass with a lot of different weapons, and he's proving himself as being this really reliable main protagonist. That being said, the story is still early on in its run when it comes to the Manhwa, and I'm curious where it's going to go long term because I haven't personally read the light novel, but I'm definitely enjoying the ride so far. The Soul Stations in general, anything that starts with Soul Station so far, is a huge win for me. At number 1 is Solo Leveling. Even though I don't want to put this on lists anymore because everyone knows it, I can't deny that for me, it's the best Necromancer series out there in regards to Manhwa. And having Sung Jin-woo and his army of Arisen is something awesome to look at. Whether you judge it as being overhyped or if you just love Solo Leveling as the best thing ever created, can't deny that Sung Jin-woo has the cool vibes and has a really cool power set. And the art style is on point. Those points are undistinguishable from being awesome, and I have to say I've enjoyed every second of Solo Leveling along its ride. The ending may disappoint in some ways, but I think no matter what, it is something that everyone should have read at least once in their passing through, even though I've definitely read it a hell of a lot more than one time. I hope you enjoyed that top 10. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave your comment down below on what you'd like to see next in my top 10 lists. See you soon.